Hey, Os Hillman here with a TGIF Video Minute. I want to talk to you today about Moses, one of the great stories in the Bible. You're probably familiar with the story, and of course he was banished from Egypt after killing a slave because he was concerned about the punishment that was being put against his people, the Hebrews. And so he's out in the desert now for 40 years. And much like a place like this, all of a sudden he's doing his daily chores and he looks to the side and sees this burning bush, but it's not burning up. And so he investigates. And as he gets closer to the bush, a voice comes from the bush and says, "Moses, Moses, take off your shoes, for you're on holy ground." And so that's really the first principle of this story, is that what makes our work holy is the presence of God. And so he's now in the presence of God. And God asked him a question after they go through a little conversation. And he says to Moses, "Moses, what is that in your hand?" And of course, it was a staff. You know, several years ago I was in Israel and I bought this staff and I brought it back with me. And you know, staffs are an interesting thing in the life of a shepherd. Not only is it used to, prod your sheep to move on, but it's also used to, keep snakes away. And it was even used as a calendar. Sometimes they would etch in little dates in their staff. And so it was very important. And so God was relating to him through his staff. And he says, "Moses, what's that in your hand?" And of course, he tells them, "Well, it's my staff, Lord." And then God says, "I want you to lay the staff down." And so he laid it on the ground, and then it turned into a snake. And so then God tells him to do something very unusual. He says, "Now, Moses, I want you to pick it up by the tail." Of course, you never pick up a snake by the tail, but this was a picture, a spiritual picture of authority taking over authority over the serpent. The Garden of Eden, there was a serpent, and the devil's represented by that. And he also told him that he wanted to put his hand inside his bosom. And when he did that and he brought it out, it turned into leprosy. And then he told him to put it back in, and it changed back. And so he was demonstrating to him the power of God and how he was going to give him that authority in order to deliver a people from slavery. And so what we see in this story is that God was relating to Moses through something of his work. Of course, his staff represented his work life. And he's saying, "I'm going to perform miracles through your staff, and I'm going to deliver a people from slavery and bring them into a place of worship to me." And so I want to encourage you with that word, that God wants you to use your vocation for the purposes of God. He wants to demonstrate his power in and through your vocation so that you can deliver people from bondage and bring them into a relationship with him. So I want to encourage you with that today. If you're not a subscriber to TGIF Today God is First, I hope you'll check that out. It's a free devotional that will encourage you every day in your walk. God bless.